justice, temperance, wisdom, courage. Applying ancient philosophy to modern times, this is the Sunday Stoic. Welcome to the Sunday Stoic. I'm Steve. A quick reminder, the year anniversary episode is next week, and you have a chance to win a Roman coin if you contact the show. I need a voicemail from you, so tell me who you are, where you listen from, and why you like Stoicism. You can tell me anything else you'd like as well, as long as you don't mind it being on the show. And you can contact the show at sundaystoic.wixsite.com/home. The link is in the show notes. And there's a microphone at the bottom of the page. If you click on that, you can leave a voicemail there. Or you can call me at 501-503-3132. 501-503-3132. The phone number will also be in the show notes. I will not answer. It'll go to voicemail. Or if you want to record an MP3 and email it to sundaystoic@gmail.com. That would be great. So do that by this Friday. Friday, this is professional. I'll look it up on my phone while I'm talking. Do that by Friday, the 30th of March, 2018. The show will release on Easter, which is April the 1st. Today's show will focus on a reading by Musonius Rufus. Musonius Rufus was a teacher of Stoicism. He actually was the teacher of Epictetus. So we can see in those two individuals some parallels in their thinking. Of course, Epictetus we have a lot more information from, and he develops his own take on Stoicism. So bear in mind, the Stoics all have slightly different emphasis on different topics and different ways of viewing things. And once again, it is a philosophy, so it's okay to take it and make it your own, and to live it in a way that seems the most logical to you. Now in the care of the sick, we demand no one but the physician to be free from error, and in handling the lyre, no one but the musician, and in managing the helm, no one but the pilot, and in the conduct of life, it is no longer only the philosopher whom we can expect to be free from error, though he alone would seem to be the only one concerned with the study of virtue, but all men alike, including those who have never given any attention to virtue. Clearly, then, there is no explanation for this other than that the human being is born with an inclination toward virtue. And this, indeed, is strong evidence of the presence of goodness in our nature, that all speak of themselves as having virtue and being good. For take the common man, when asked whether he is stupid or intelligent, not one will confess to being stupid. Or again, when asked whether he is just or unjust, not one will say that he is unjust. In the same way, if one asks him whether he is temperate or intemperate, he replies at once that he is temperate. And finally, if one asks whether he is good or bad, he would say that he is good, even though he can name no teacher of virtue or mention any study or practice of virtue he has ever made. Of what then is the evidence, if not the existence of an innate inclination of the human soul toward goodness and nobleness, and of the presence of the seeds of virtue in each one of us? Moreover, because it is entirely to our advantage to be good, some of us deceive ourselves into thinking that we really are good, while others are ashamed to admit that they are not. So in this reading, Musonius tells us that this thing we're striving for, remember, in Stoicism, the greatest good that there is virtue. Your ability to be wise, temperate, just, and brave. To live a good life, to be in control of yourself as much as possible in that sense. So you're trying to be virtuous, and as a side effect of that, they say you'll be happy. So we're not striving for happiness as our primary goal, but to be a really good person. And even if we don't get rich or anything else, on our deathbed, we'll know we've been a good person, and that should give us some fulfillment, some happiness in that sense. And we all know that we have done plenty of unvirtuous things. We know that all around us we see all kinds of non-virtue taking place, unvirtuous acts. But Musonius says that there's evidence that we all have the seeds of virtue inside of us. We all know, we all want to be virtuous, but we're just not all educated in how to do it. So someone who does not know how to play the guitar, they might lie to you and say they know how, but they won't be able to pick one up and play it, right? Someone who claims to be a doctor will not be able to treat you. And so we don't go around claiming to know these things or do these things for the most part. But people do claim to be virtuous. If you ask someone, hey, are you intelligent or unintelligent? Let's just say wise or unwise. Are you wise or unwise? They'll say, well, I think I'm kind of wise, right? Are you temperate or intemperate? Well, I'm pretty temperate, right? They may not claim to be fully a sage here, but they'll claim to be fairly virtuous. And yet they've never spent a day studying these virtues. So unlike a doctor who has spent 10 years or more of their life studying medicine, they would say, yes, I'm a doctor and I practice medicine. Whereas everyone around us says, yes, I am familiar with virtue, but they've never actually studied it. And so that to Musonius is evidence that we all have the desire for virtue, even if we don't have the training. So that's what we're doing here on the Sunday Stoic, and why you at home should be reading. If you're into Stoicism, you should be reading the Stoics and read some Socrates, read some Epicurus too, right? Like read some of these philosophers, see what they have to say, study virtue. Virtue is not something we can just automatically have. We have to think about it. We have to think of different scenarios and how we would use virtue in those different scenarios. Which action would be the most virtuous way to go? Things like that. So study virtue. Read Epictetus. Read Musonius Rufus. You can do that for free on the internet if you don't want to buy modern translations. And also remember there are other Stoic podcasts out there. I'm sure you all know about them because there are a lot of. So practice becoming virtuous. Study virtue. And admit when you're wrong. So I've been talking about including the other Stoic topi in the show, physics and logic. And the other day I talked about reason, and I just wanted to include something here. The most important words you can know in terms of reason, studying reason and logic, and that is I don't know. Don't pretend to know things you don't, and it's okay to withhold judgment and to say I don't know. I don't know is something that a lot of us are scared to say because in school we're taught that means you're ignorant, right? But it's actually really powerful and really important to admit you don't know something and to not fake it, all right? So I don't know, and carpe diem.